I can't begin to tell you how many friends I've watched get their hopes shattered because they assumed their children would always be there to look after them in old age. They saw their kids as the ultimate safety net, the ones who would drop everything to provide care and companionship whenever needed. The problem is, life doesn't slow down for anyone. Children grow up, start their own families, find careers, and move across cities or even countries. No matter how much they love us, they often can't be right by our side every time we call. I don't say that to be cold. I say it because if we understand reality, we can make choices that let us age with more comfort and fewer regrets. Believing blindly that children should automatically handle all our needs might leave us feeling disappointed or even bitter when they're just too busy to help. I'm not suggesting that our children won't ever lend us a hand. Many will do their best to provide love and support as we grow older. But relying on them as our only plan can strain our relationship. After all, we want to be part of their lives, but we don't want to become an exhausting task they feel obligated to manage. Before we get further, I'd like to know where you're joining us from, and if you get value from these honest talks, a like and subscribe would truly mean a lot. It's a small way to tell me that this conversation is helpful, and it keeps these reflections going for those of us who want to face aging with a level head and an open heart. One of the first places people should consider as they get older is their own bank or retirement plan. A secure financial base might not solve every problem, but it can keep you from depending entirely on your children for day-to-day or unexpected expenses. If you can afford small things like hiring someone to clean the house or drive you to the doctor, that frees your kids from having to juggle their own full lives just to help you out. Also, having your own savings or pension can cover costs for medication, home improvements, or even a new hobby that gives you purpose in your golden years. You're not leaving your children out. You're just making sure there's a cushion so you don't end up frustrated if they can't show up with financial support. Beyond the money side of things, I've seen a lot of joy come from community centers, especially the ones designed for seniors. The idea of going to a center might sound boring if you're only picturing people sitting in a big hall sipping tea, but many have evolved into lively hubs offering activities that keep your mind fresh and your body moving. You might join a weekly exercise group, pick up a new craft, or attend local outings that break the monotony of staying home. Perhaps most importantly, you'll meet others in your age group who get it, who know what it's like to have children that are too busy or grandchildren you wish you saw more often. This sense of understanding and acceptance can be a powerful remedy for loneliness. Some people also turn to faith communities or spiritual groups. I'm not here to push any one religion or practice, but places of worship can go beyond prayers. They often run programs that offer counseling, social events, and volunteer opportunities. In many churches, temples, or mosques, younger volunteers help seniors with small tasks, like driving them to medical appointments or doing errands. And there's usually a sense of fellowship that brings comfort when life feels uncertain. You don't need to be deeply religious to join these circles if you're open to community spirit. Sometimes just having a shared space where you can talk and belong can ease the everyday pressures of aging. Neighbors can be a hidden gem for support as well. Often we overlook the people living right next door. A friendly chat now and then can evolve into a sense of mutual watchfulness, where they keep an eye on your home and you keep an eye on theirs. If you build that trust, small favors become natural, like bringing in your mail if you can't make it to the mailbox or helping you carry groceries. It might not replace what family can offer, but it's part of a safety net that makes aging feel less lonely. I've known people who ended up forming friendships with neighbors that felt as supportive as family bonds, simply because each recognized how a small act of kindness could lift another person's day. For those who need more structured assistance, senior living communities can be a good option. I know this can spark anxiety. Many fear that moving into a senior home means surrendering control. But times have changed. Today, a lot of these places offer a range of living arrangements, from fully independent apartments to more assisted setups. You might still cook your own meals if you want, or join a dining room full of friendly faces. They often have gyms, events, and staff trained to help with medical needs. It's not about giving up your freedom. It's about living where your needs are recognized and met without you having to constantly call your children to rescue you. This can ease your mind and theirs. You're living your own life, but with a safety net right outside your door. Friends, both old and new, can be a cornerstone of a satisfying older life as well. People often forget how valuable a deep friendship can be once work and family obligations shift. Friends can encourage you to stay active, give emotional support, and share in the simple joys of meeting for coffee or going to a movie. If your adult children can't join you, that doesn't mean you can't go enjoy something with a buddy who's in the same stage of life. Keeping those bonds alive can lighten your mood and remind you that there's more to your identity than just being someone's parent or grandparent. On a practical note, looking into local government or community services can prevent small problems from becoming big headaches. Many towns offer affordable transportation, discounted meals, home repair services for seniors, and even help with legal paperwork. It might feel odd to accept help from a government agency if you're used to thinking you can handle everything, or that your children should be the ones stepping in. But the truth is, these programs exist for people like us who have contributed to society for decades. There's no shame in using what is there to help us remain independent. You might find that with the right information, life feels a lot safer because you won't be stranded if your kids live in another state or are tied up with their own jobs and families. Some folks worry that by preparing themselves this way saving money, looking into senior living, or using community service there telling their children, "I don't trust you to care for me." Actually, it's the opposite. You're respecting your children's future and acknowledging that their lives can get complicated. If they do manage to spend plenty of time with you, that's wonderful. But if they can't, you won't be stuck in a place of resentment waiting for help to arrive. By taking these steps, you give your relationship with them room to breathe. Your kids can visit and share happy moments rather than feeling guilty or burdened by daily tasks that someone else can handle. Learning basic technology can also be a surprising blessing in old age. It's normal to feel nervous the first time you pick up a smartphone or try to figure out an online account. But once you learn the basics, you gain a big dose of independence. You can video call friends, order groceries online, manage your bank accounts, or consult with doctors through telehealth without waiting for someone else to do it for you. This freedom can be huge, especially if your children are too far away to help you in person. Plus, staying in touch digitally means you can keep up with what's happening in your loved ones' daily lives without relying on them to call first. I've seen too many older folks lose themselves in anger because they feel their children don't call or visit enough. But being upset with your children isn't a good way to live. It turns love into disappointment, which hurts both sides. When you have other structures in place, friends, neighbors, a community center, maybe a supportive faith group, you won't spend your days staring at the phone, counting the hours until your child calls. You'll have your own routine, your own joys, and your own circle to lean on. If your child does call, you can welcome that moment with warmth instead of frustration. A lot of us think old age is like a final chapter where we shrink our worlds down to our children and grandchildren. But that doesn't have to be the case. You can still discover new interests, meet new people, and live with a sense of purpose. You can keep learning, exploring, and finding ways to give back. Being active in your community, whether that's volunteering at a local library, mentoring young people in a skill you've mastered, or joining a club for seniors who travel, can breathe fresh energy into your life. This keeps you engaged and reminds you that there's a big world out there that can still welcome your gifts, no matter how old you are. What matters most is that you plan ahead and acknowledge how life really works. Children aren't meant to stay at our side forever, and that's okay. What we need is to step into older age knowing we have financial security, possible living options, and a network of caring faces around us. That way, we can enjoy our kids' visits without turning them into a lifeline that must always be there. We can love them and be proud of them, while also taking pride in our own ability to stand on our own 2 feet. I hope these thoughts remind you that aging is not about waiting for your children to fill every gap. It's about being wise enough to know that you have to fill some of those gaps yourself. In doing so, you might actually have a richer, kinder relationship with your kids. If any of this strikes a chord, I'd love to hear where you're watching from, and if these words resonate, a like and subscribe would be a kind gesture to keep this conversation alive. Growing older can be a time of renewal if we see it clearly and prepare ourselves. May we all find the right balance between loving our children and standing tall in our own independence,